Hello, good morning in Texas and afternoon on the East Coast and morning in California and afternoon around the rest of the world. I hope you guys are doing really well. We have a wonderful show today, a little bit later slot for our beginning show than normal because I was out doing the dad thing this morning. It's my most important job that I have, of course, being the dad to my two daughters. And of course, we're doing the Christmas Carol play, which is a lot of fun. And this is now the third play that I'm doing with my daughters. Got roped into this one. I'm supposed to be down at the Art Basel in Miami playing with our band. But of course, family first always. So I hope everybody's doing very well. Of course, big news. Of course, Bitcoin surges past $100,000. Unbelievable number, especially for a guy like me who's been in since $70. BSTY GlobalBoost has seeded overnight the bridge to Solana. We're still working on that. And of course, you can't see underneath my graphic today, but Trump celebrates crypto milestone amidst picking his cabinet selections. So, of course, that's going, I guess, pretty well, right? But anyway, you're watching on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana. We are growing a lot. We will be adding a lot more states and a lot more stations in the coming time. We've been doing the show for about a year now. A year now this month. In a week or two, it'll be 1 year. The Impact Money Show, where the financial landscape meets the crossroads of technology, geopolitics, and power. Today, we dive into the era of cyber threats, AI, crypto milestones that shape our world as we navigate Trump's financial agenda amid the rising debt and global tensions. First off, let's talk espionage. The FBI has uncovered what they are calling one of the most significant cyber attacks on U.S. soil. The Chinese-linked hackers infiltrating our telecom giants to pilfer sensitive data. This isn't just about stealing trade secrets. It's an assault on our digital sovereignty. Now, I always say that with a grain of salt, right? Because it could just be the FBI doing it. Of course, the FBI just last week said, "Oh, Iran is hacking us and everything else." You can't trust those guys. So who knows? But from what I read and from what I understand, this Chinese hack of our telecoms, they have our SMS messages, they have our conversations, they have all kinds of stuff. And of course, I do believe that they shouldn't be doing it, but I do believe that our telecoms and NSA and all this stuff, they're saving all of our conversations. And so it's easy when you have all that information saved to hack it, right? I mean, if it's there, people are going to hack it. So we shouldn't be saving it. That's number one thing, is we should not be recording everybody's information without a warrant, okay? And that's some of the stuff that hopefully we're going to change with the great Donald Trump and Elon Musk. In the Middle East, the drums of war beat louder as Israel launches airstrikes in Lebanon. So much for the ceasefire. Despite calls for ceasefire, this escalation sends shockwaves through the global market, reminding us that the geopolitical tinderbox that can unite at any moment. And we talk about that quite a bit on the show. At any moment, it can just go. And so that's why you always want to make sure that you have some stop lots in place. You also always want to make sure that you take some profits, because you just never know what might happen. Now, turning to domestic policy, President-elect Trump is assembling his cabinet, and it's not without controversy. His choice for defense secretary has tongues wagging, especially given the backdrop of accusations that the U.S. has been backing ISIS, albeit covertly, to counter Assad in Syria, a narrative that's as complex as it is contentious. I mean, what in the world are we doing in bed with ISIS? Somebody make that make sense to me. You can't. You can't do it because it doesn't make any sense, guys. We shouldn't be in bed with ISIS. That's it. Period. I saw an article on the Telegraph, Telegraph, I think is the name, or Telegraph, this morning. Says why we must take this chance to remove Assad. Now, to be very clear, Assad protects the Christians over there. He also protects the Muslims over there, and he protects everybody. Why in the world do we want this guy out of there? I'll tell you why we want him out of there. Because he has not bent a knee to the central banking cartel that owns our country. That's why. That's the long and short of it right there, guys. In the world of finance, Bitcoin has finally hit the $100,000 mark, signaling it's not just in recovery, but what could be the start of alt season, where alternate currencies shine. This surge in digital asset challenges the very foundation of our monetary system. And that is a point that I'll come back to, like I always do. But guys, alt season, the beloved alt season, when all your little bags of, and I can't say it on the TV, your tokens, all your bags pump to infinity. You got to make sure to sell before they go back down into nothing, right? They don't always go to nothing, but a lot of times they do. Alt season, when Bitcoin gets so high and when so much money pumps into Bitcoin that people then look for where they want to stick their profits. And where do they want to stick their profits? They want to stick them in alternate currencies that are going to, again, give them the same kind of profits or more that they had with Bitcoin. And that's the way it works. And that's what alt season is. Many of my friends might even be watching. They can laugh at this. And one friend is specifically, Bruce, it's going to be, it's alt season. 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 It's alt season for the last 2 or 3 years. It's alt season, he says. I said, well, you're going to finally be right, bro. You're finally going to be right. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. AI isn't just a buzzword anymore. Grok, the AI that's been making waves, and Grok is absolutely amazing. I mean, let me tell you what, it's absolutely amazing, is now launching its own app, promising to redefine how we interact with technology. And let's not forget Starlink, right? With its groundbreaking move to offer direct-to-cell phone service. This isn't just about connectivity. It's about reshaping the global communication structure. Yes. Every once in a while when you're live, you're like, wait, is that right? Starlink? Is that the name? Starlink. But as we celebrate technological leaps, we're also facing demographic decline. The U.S., like many developed nations, is grappling with population collapse, which has profound implications on our economy and our welfare system. It's worldwide. People like myself, we were told, go, make money, get a job, don't have too many kids. People like our poor women, go get a job. It's more important to get a job. When the truth is that it wasn't more important to get a job, and it's still not more important to get a job. It's more important to have kids. If we don't have kids, then we don't have a country. We don't have a world. We don't have a future. Most important thing we can do is have kids. And trust me, my kids are getting older now. They'll be gone in a little bit. I'll be able to continue working and everything else. I think for a lot of us that are around my age, we're going to live more than likely a long time. I mean, don't want to jinx myself or anything. We have the opportunity, the capacity, the potential to live a very, very long time, well past 100 years. So what are we running around in the rat race for the first 40 or 60 years of our life trying to do all these things when maybe we'd live that long, but who knows how long we're going to be able to have kids for that length of time. You know what I mean? I mean, hopefully we extend that too. For right now, a woman is what, you have 14 to or 12. I don't know how. I don't want to get in trouble. Maybe it's 18. Okay, I have no idea. All right. You have 20, 30 years. Okay, that you can have children right now safely. About 20 years, probably safely. No, I guess around 30. Anyway, whatever. You get my point. We have a population collapse problem. And Elon, thankfully, has brought it to the forefront to talk about it because it's absolutely important. And speaking of the economy, the U.S. national debt skyrocketing. It's past $36 trillion. This isn't just a number. It's a ticking time bomb. It brings us to a crucial discussion that I talk about every day. The Federal Reserve's control over our country and our currency. The call to end this banking cartel's total control over the dollar has never been louder. The argument is clear. The institution, since its inception in 1913, that's the Federal Reserve, the banking cartel's baby, has not served the American people, but it's rather has served a shadowy financial elite, milking the money from us. They stole all our gold in 1933. I want our gold back. I want my family's gold back, okay? They said they were going to give it back. They confiscated everyone's gold. No one talks about this. They don't teach you this stuff in the history books. Today, we'll explore these stories and more, examining how they intertwine, how they impact your wallet, and what you can do about it. Stay tuned, because this is the Impact Money Show, where we don't just report the news, we dissect the power behind it. Of course, I have the Market Watch report with the great Matt Dixon here as well. Of course, it's late in Dubai, so my man sent a recording for me. Now, I'll tell you this as well. I mentioned, and it's in the title, overnight, I had nothing really to do with it. Of course, GlobalBoost, BSTY. GlobalBoost is a decentralized cryptocurrency similar to Bitcoin. It's actually built off of Bitcoin. Can't be seized or frozen or any of that stuff. It's proof of work mine coin. And some people, not me, put up and they seeded a bridge on Solana. And they did on Pump Fun. They did the Pump Fun. And they were successful in getting it now on Radium here. Let me just pull this up here. Boom. Yes. So I'm going to share this just to show you. This was the Pump Fun pump here. Pump Fun. We're a community coin. So there's the Pump Fun. Boom. And the way it works on Pump Fun is you just start it. It starts at 0, and then boom, once you hit 100,000, it takes it over and sticks you on Radium. So now we're on Radium. We're trading directly with Solana. The idea here, from what I understand from our community members, is we have about $500,000 to $1 million market cap right now on GlobalBoost. Get that to where it is the same. So that's a nice movement there if you're paying attention, okay? But get that BSTY on Solana, the GlobalBoost on Solana, to where it's on par with the 500 million or the 100,000 or the 500,000 to the million market cap, and then of course having seeded the bridge from there. It's a decentralized autonomous organization. So that is what the deal is. I did put out anyway, you can see that you can go to the GlobalBoost X account. You can see where that is trading right there on the Twitter account, the X account. All right, I have the market report here with the great Matt Dixon. Great Matt Dixon with the market report. Super exciting markets. Let's talk about them here. Hold on. Boom.
Good morning, Bruce, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Impact Money Show financial section. So what a historic day we have. Bitcoin for the first time ever crossed 100,000. And I guess it was to be expected. We had the appointment of the new SEC chair. So basically, this is really good news, the appointment by Trump. So very pro-crypto. So yeah, that's why I think we saw the pump for Bitcoin. And yeah, it's looking really healthy. Who knows where Bitcoin can go? Probably we'll get a bit of a pullback. I think we're overdue a pullback. This great historic news was expected. We thought Bitcoin was going to break the 100. I thought it might actually be a bit more difficult to break the 100, but now we've done it. Who knows where it's going to go? I mean, it's only, 15 years, is it, since Bitcoin was first established or invented by Satoshi Nakamoto, 2009. So yeah, absolutely amazing. It came from just a few cents back then to over $100,000 as we speak, 102,500 and something, and it's been even higher than that. So absolutely amazing. And now we have full institutional adoption, we have government adoption, and there's more and more talk about this widespread adoption. So yeah, I think we probably do a bit of a pullback because this is a historic moment. Everybody's euphoric at the moment, thinking it's going to go higher and higher. I'm sure it will at some point. I think Bitcoin $1 million is a real possibility now. Nothing's ever a certainty in trading, but it's a real possibility. Obviously, there are a few clouds on the horizon. Geopolitical clouds certainly are gathering, and we've got to keep an eye on what's happening there. Also, there are some issues economically. I actually heard from somebody who's well connected that the bankers in Japan are saying that we are going to see an interest rate rise out of Japan again. And remember what happened last time? We saw a really sharp sell-off. It's basically where we see the carry trades selling off sharply. And we'll just flip over first of all before, I mean, that was just a picture of Bitcoin chart, which we'll come back to. But, I think that the days may be numbered for the constant rise that we've seen in dollar yen. This is the carry trade, of course, where people borrow money at almost zero interest rates from Japan, and they invest it into risk assets like Bitcoin, like S&P 500, like other cryptos. Is one of the main reasons that crypto has pumped, is that we've seen it possible for people to get cheap money from Japan to borrow at zero interest rate almost. But bear in mind, as interest rates rise in Japan, and they say it's not just one rise, they say this is going to now be a rising cycle for interest rates in Japan. So it'll become more and more difficult and expensive for people to borrow in Japanese yen and invest in risk assets like Bitcoin and crypto. So this is just another risk on the horizon, another cloud that's out there. So I've been talking to some of the whales out there, some of the big players, people who are managing portfolios around $100 million plus. And they're saying that they believe that there's still definitely some mileage in this bull run that we're on at the moment with crypto. They're saying that the end of the run, this particular run, could potentially be as early as sometime end of December, or it could be February, March. But they're talking about really just maybe a quarter of a year away before a potential peak in the market and then potentially a very sharp sell-off. So you've got to listen to these big whales because they're the people who really do move the market, and they're the people that influence the retail to come in mass, en masse, and buy, and that's kind of what's happened. You wonder really, how has XRP risen from 30 odd cents not long ago, 50 cents just before the Trump election win, and now $2.38. It's been about, I think it's been $2.70 or something. So we're still talking 5x really in no time at all. How has this happened? How has so much money come into XRP? Well, it's partly down to rotation, partly to do with euphoria, partly to do with what's happening in the fiat world with the printing of money. And bear in mind, I mean, certainly Bitcoin, that we'll look at more closely, has limited supply. As we said, 21 million will only ever be in existence. I think it's actually at 19.8 million right now. So the other 1.2 million, it will take about 100 years to deliver those. So you can see it's almost, I mean, with the Bitcoin that's lost, it's effectively a deflationary currency. This is very, very much in contrast to the traditional fiat currencies that are most definitely inflationary. And this is why we see over the years, dollar overall devalue. You basically have to pay more and more for goods, and the dollar becomes of less and less value. And that's the same for other currencies. And other currencies are likely to devalue even more than the dollar. So we're looking at Europe is in turmoil at the moment. We've got the French election. The government is on the verge of being toppled by the right wing. We've got problems in the UK. There's a lot of discontent now with the new Labour government. It's only just been voted in. You'd have thought that have at least a honeymoon period, but it's not happening. People are railing against the new Labour government, talking upset about the massive raising of taxes, not fulfilling promises, etc., etc. And I think this could potentially be an issue for Trump going forward. But he does really try to deliver on some of these things and does some radical things. He's certainly not afraid to deliver on some things that he said. So let's just see what happens there. But as I say, we need to be aware of what's going on, both geopolitically. I mean, they've said, for example, his solution for Ukraine, Russia, the peace, he's promising peace within a month or something. The experts, and who knows, experts, I've actually heard definition expert is a drip under pressure, expert, an X drip under pressure. Anyway, these experts know nothing. So let's just see. They say Trump's plan can't work. Maybe it can work. He's managed to deliver on so many other areas and fronts that we just don't know. So time will tell, but we just need to be aware of what's potentially happening. So let's just jump back to Bitcoin, the record breaker for today, the real record breaker, new all-time highs. And that can't be said for XRP, even though it's rallied 5x. Let's just look at Bitcoin, what performance we've had at Bitcoin with Bitcoin in recent times. So the past 1 year with Bitcoin, we've seen 132% rise. So you've more than doubled your money if you just sat on Bitcoin, held it for a year. Year to date, so we're talking just less than a year, 142%, 6 months, 48%, 3 months, 82%, 1 month, 51%. So if you'd held Bitcoin just for the last month, you'd have made 50% on your money. That cannot be done in most other markets. It's just, and the thing is, it's such a solid asset as well. It's known as digital gold. It's known as the store of value. We know that institutions are buying it en masse through the ETF. We know that governments are now talking about potentially using it as a reserve. So Bitcoin has some real solid foundation behind it, and yet it's still managing to rise at these tremendous rates. And that has obviously got to be to do with the supply and demand ratio, as it were. So basically supply, as we've already said, is minimal and probably going to be diminishing in real terms. And the demand is just growing and growing at the moment. So who knows where Bitcoin could go? We've gone, as I say, from a few cents to over $100,000. To go from 100,000 to a million is just a fraction of that in percentage terms. So there's real possibilities there. Just flipping back, I'm going to be running back and two between things, but looking at dollar index at the moment, it's relatively flat. I think we're working potentially on a wave 4. I think we've had it 5 waves down. You can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's an A wave, working on a B wave of some sort, and then probably a C wave down to complete a larger wave 4. Then we'll push up again in wave 5. Following that, though, I think we're due for a major correction because this 5 wave move from the bottom here is actually a C wave in the making. The C wave is the final leg of an overall correction. Then we should see the dollar really falling sharply to the downside. So that will be very, very interesting. So I don't know what's going to happen to cause that. I really don't know what's going to happen. I speculated yesterday, maybe it's recession. I don't know, some geopolitical thing which might affect the US more than others. Who knows? It is really open for speculation, but the charts tend to tell us what's going to happen before they happen. So that looks, interesting. Certainly gives us pause for thought about what's going to happen. So here's the pound against the dollar. Again, we've not managed to rally at all on the pound, and I think the pound is definitely still on a downward trajectory. And I think, as I say, within a year, maybe within a few months, I think even if we see the dollar collapse, I think we'll see the pound and the euro collapse even more somehow. So, I think that we're going to see the dollar will flip the pound, and the dollar will eventually become more powerful than the pound. So that's one to watch for the future. It's a prediction we made a year ago, and it's kind of working its way. Nothing happens overnight. So here's back just to the dollar yen again. Looks like we're doing some kind of 5-way move to the upside, but when it moves down sharply, that's negative for risk assets. So maybe we get that. We just talked about potentially the market peaking maybe late December, maybe February, maybe March, but sometime next quarter, maybe somewhere like that, we see the dollar peaking and the crypto assets and the risk assets peaking, and then we see a sharp fall. And that probably aligns with what we see here with dollar yen. Again, I love to see these different assets fitting together like jigsaw pieces in an overall picture. When it fits together, completely different assets fitting together. So we're seeing potentially a further rally to come yet, even though we might get a short-term correction, a further rally to come in crypto and risk assets before a very sharp fall correction. That would align perfectly with what we see here with the pound against with the dollar against the yen. When we see that falling sharply, that means risk assets are going to fall. So SPX, amazing, again, all-time high. So we're just touching 100% extension today. So we can actually the short-term bearish divergence, I can remove that now, and I'll just show you why I can remove it. Because we no longer have divergence on the SPX. On the short term, we no longer have divergence. Long term, we still do. So I'll just, on screen here, I'll just remove this. So we see high highs in price, but we also see high highs in RSI. So that is no longer divergent. They're not going in different directions. So we can remove that one. And this can happen. And actually, it's one of the reasons why you don't normally draw divergences on until you actually see the beginnings of a turn in price. So we still have currently divergence in place on the longer term. When I say longer term, it's not that long. I mean, we're talking from July, so 6 months or something like that, 5-6 months. We still see higher highs in price and lower highs in RSI. That's telling you that the prices are rising on lower volume, and it's telling us that the price is vulnerable. And the fact that we just reached virtually within touching distance now of the 100% extension of a previous earlier wave, it's telling you there's going to be resistance at this level. So I think, I was saying yesterday, it's time to start to think about protecting profits that you may have made, hopefully you've made, with all these massive rising assets. And we've been bullish in general, with tempering that bullishness on pullbacks along the way. But anyway, we potentially see a risk here, potentially to the downside. So that's a potential turn in price coming on the S&P 500. No certainty, of course, but from risk reward perspective, I think it's good for if you do short the markets, if you trade futures or whatever, potentially good for a short with a stop loss not far above. If it does break above, then yes, you would take a loss, but the downside is substantial, I would say. So I do think that potentially we will see some short-term downside in the markets. I'll keep coming back to Bitcoin because it's just absolutely amazing. We had this, in fact, I'll go to the daily on Bitcoin, tells us a little bit more. When you've got such amazing moving prices like this, and we can really see it on the daily, how rapid it's been. We saw this corrective move, and we say corrective because it's all overlapping, choppy sideways. And when we say overlapping, you know, the down wave, every one of these waves is overlapping, you can see it, whereas an impulsive wave like this moving up is not overlapping because the down wave doesn't overlap the previous up wave anywhere, whereas here the down wave overlaps the previous up wave here, and so on. So you can see this is corrective against the trend, this is impulsive with the trend. So right now we are currently still with the trend as far as Bitcoin goes. So you'd be a brave man to bet against it. I think maybe even you could say even foolhardy to bet against it, although I do think that we're probably due a pullback. So whilst I wouldn't bet against it, I would seriously think about collecting some profits if you've been trading this and holding this. We're potentially somewhere near 1, 2, 3. You know, it's hard to tell it on this time scale, but we're somewhere near. After this correction move here, we're just looking for 5 waves up here to finish the up move for the time being, and then get a correction. It doesn't mean that we won't reach brand new all-time highs again in the future. I'm sure we will, but we must be due some point soon a bit of a correction there. We've seen some real volatility on Solana. This is daily. Again, we can see the correction, ABC correction, where the C wave came lower than the A wave. So it's a very nice 5 waves down, 3 waves up, 5 waves down. It's basically a zigzag correction to the downside. That's a correction. And then we're seeing this movement to the upside, which may or may not be over. I think we're virtually, I mean, it's hard to say whether this is just a wave 4, which I've got it labeled as here. So I've got basically wave 1 up, 2 down, 3 up, And I think it did reach pretty well 2.618, which is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful Fibonacci relationship. I'll just show you here where I measured it from. So I measured the first wave here, from the bottom there to the top of that wave. That's 100%. And what I do then, I transpose it to the bottom of wave 2 here, and it gives me the target. And you can see within a small fraction, it's very, very close. We have almost perfect target there. We can see as I move it over, virtually to the penny, give or take, it's virtually to the penny. We have wave 3. Now, that's very typical of a wave 3. Wave 3s are normally the most aggressive wave, and it is sometimes different for gold, for the real commodity gold, sometimes different, and sometimes the 5th wave, but usually in assets, it's the 3rd wave that's extended. So by extended, we normally think an extended wave is a minimum of 1.618 times the first wave, which we measured that. It went beyond that. So the next measurement beyond that, the next Fibonacci extension would be 2.618. And that's precisely what we went to. Then we got quite a substantial turn down here. So we turned down from $267 down to 215, I think we saw. So that's, you know, a big, big downturn we saw there. Possibly the ABC is complete and maybe we'll move higher. I actually think the correction may prove to be a bit more complex, and we'll probably have maybe a bit more up and down choppy movement in a wave 4 before we then push again with new all-time highs yet again to higher to go. So yeah, it's been very, very volatile, and that's very typical of a corrective move where you see sharp moves up, sharp moves down. They tend to overlap, and we see that here, the overlapping movement to the side here. And maybe I'll go back to the 4-hour just to focus a little bit more on that. We can see sort of choppy movement here. I think we may have a bit higher to go, then maybe another chop down to get us a bit lower with Solana before we push again to a real all-time high. This actually only pretty much equated or equaled the previous all-time high, but I think we're going to get more correction, and then we'll get a powerful push. And this again, once again, will align. Like I said, all these jigsaw pieces fit together beautifully. I think it will align with our outlook for Bitcoin, our outlook for maybe for S&P 500, our outlook for DXY, our outlook for dollar yen. I think they're all fitting together beautifully. Now, we've seen a bit of a pullback now. We'll just move over to XRP. We've seen, you know, a bit of a pullback, and maybe there's still some more to come with this correction. Again, it was to be expected. I think we'll probably, in the future, even if we get more pullback, which is probable, and at the moment, this candlestick looks like it, shooting star candlestick, potentially telling us that there's maybe more downside, but we can't really interpret this candlestick until it finishes. We're on the 4-hour here, so we're not far away from a finish. So when it finishes, we'll look at what this candlestick formation is, and we'll maybe make some deductions then. But right now, it's looking as a little bit bearish. But anything can happen within a 4-hour candle. It could even finish full green candle. Who knows? Or if we get a bit of red below, that would be even more bearish. But I think we're in a bit of a correction on XRP. We were saying time to possibly take a bit of profit, lock in the profits, whatever. Maybe protect your position, but it does look as though even if we pull back lower, we probably do have higher to go still in XRP. BNB has been on an amazing run. Again, we can see absolutely powerful impulsive movement there to the upside. Correction, we can actually see some kind of ABC correction. If I open it out a little bit, you can probably see an A wave down there, B wave, C wave. So it looks like an ABC correction. Maybe we've got some more upside to go, or maybe it will prove to be a more complex correction. Not quite sure about that at the moment. Ethereum has been a very interesting one, because I know, again, some of the smart people in crypto, some of the whales have been rotating, and they've basically taken profits. First of all, they took profits from Solana and moved over to XRP. And then XRP, they took some profits because it rose from 50 to 250, so 5x. So they then took profits from XRP and moved over to BNB. And BNB got quite a big pump. And it's normally a quiet, fairly stable token, but it got a massive pump. And people have also been rotating into Ethereum. And we can see Ethereum has actually done very, very well just last few days. I'll just have a look at Ethereum, where we're at. Let me just click on Ethereum now. I'm in that room again where it's always a little bit slow, but basically Ethereum here we can see over the last year, 70%. It's still an amazing, stellar performance. I mean, anyone would be happy with this, surely, 70% in a year. The last week, though, it's done plus 7%, but the last month, 63%. That's pretty amazing for 1 month performance, 63% for Ethereum. And as I say, some of the big whales are saying the final rotation might be into Ethereum before we then see a sell-off in the markets. So I'm watching that closely just to see if they're right. Oil price has been, we saw a bit of a sell-off there again. Nothing geopolitically seems to be worrying them at the moment. I've said that in the future, and I think probably next year, it will be a geopolitical issue that causes the sell-off, that causes the yen strength, the sell-off of the carry trade, but I believe it will also cause a rally in oil. So I think all of this movement is pretty corrective for oil. And we've been, a lot of people are getting very, very negative on oil because they see potentially economies slowing a little bit and maybe supply even increasing with Saudi Arabia. So that being the case, you would think lower oil, but actually you've got to think the markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So don't always think that everything's going to be logical. Try to think forward a bit. If oil prices have come down so much from $130 at the height of the Ukraine-Russia crisis down to $68 right now, then I think there's potential risk for another rebound, especially if we do see geopolitical tensions. Then I think we're going to see a big rally in oil. So just looking at some of the big movers, Jasmy, which I know is a lot of people's favorite, has had some amazing movement here, 24% basically today, which is outstanding. Sui, one of my favorite tokens, up 4.29% today. We'll just touch on gold, just see where it is. Again, looking like it's gone exactly according to our projection, what we expected from the all-time high. We expected a correction down. We expected it in ABC form. And I think we've got 5 waves down for the A. I think we've got the B wave. And I think we will get 5 waves down for a C wave, which I think we've got the wave 1 down. I think we're working on the wave 2 higher. Then we'll get another wave 3. So short term, I'm a little bit bearish on gold. But longer term, I still think gold will reach. This is a corrective move overall. The ABC is corrective. We should actually move impulsively to brand new all-time highs above the previous all-time high for gold. I think that coming a few months, we're going to see, even once this correction is complete, we're going to see $3,000 plus gold, I believe. So very, very positive. We touched on our RLB the other day. That's had a tremendous performance. I'm not sure whether it shows what performance has been here. Yeah, for some reason it's not showing it, but it's been absolutely stellar performance. Again, we've seen about 3x on that in the past 4 or 5 weeks or so. Most of these tokens have had a really, really good run. We talked about FXI, by the way, some time ago in a show some time back. We actually did predict it was going to be corrective for some time, going to get quite a pullback, and that's precisely what we've seen. VET has had a great run. ICP has had a good bit of a run. Injective, one of my favorite tokens, up 5% today, had a really good run. Doge never fails to disappoint, really. I know we've had a good run on that recently. If we look at Doge performance, look at that. Last year, 370%. Absolutely amazing. Last week alone, percent. Last month, 180%. 180, as they say. So 180% in 1 month. I mean, you've just think about what that could have done for you, and I think that's obviously linked with Elon Musk. It's linked with everything that's going on with the Department of Government efficiency and everything. It's just phenomenal. Litecoin had a really, really good run. It's not one of the most aggressive ones. It's a great token. One of the old tokens is not performed quite like the rest, but it's still very, very healthy returns. And again, if you just look at the returns you'd had if you'd been, not quite like Doge or any of those, or even Bitcoin, over the year 76%, but over the month, over the week, it's done really well at 34%. And actually, if you'd held it for a month, you've done 100%. You've doubled your money in a month. So nobody can complain about that. One of my favorites, HBAR, up 5% today. This looks corrective. I think the correction will probably be a little bit more complex. But again, if we look at the performance on HBAR, 358% over the year. But look at that. We obviously had some downtime within that year, because over the last month, 614%. So from when we started talking up HBAR, it's done 6x performance, which in 1 month. That's phenomenal. 6x. That's just phenomenal. I think it's, you'd have, basically, if you'd invested, just think if you'd had $10,000 there, you'd have been, very, very, very happy. But it just depends. If you'd had $100, just depends what is meaningful to you. Even $100 turning to 600 is pretty amazing. And then Ondo has actually continued reasonably nicely. It's had, again, amazing stellar performance over the year, 500%, so 5x over the year. Over the month, still 2x, and over the week, 66%. So again, with Ondo, we got this bearish divergence was eliminated, so we can remove that. So basically, we've got higher highs in RSI now. But even short term, we don't actually have any divergence, because we've got lower highs in price, and we've also got lower highs in RSI. So no particular signals there, either up or down. So again, it's probably going to be captive to the wider market, particularly captive, I suppose, to Bitcoin. What's going to happen with Bitcoin? Maybe we get just a little bit of a pullback on Bitcoin. Most people I spoke to said the very words were, they said they expect Bitcoin to pump to somewhere around 103,000, then we get a pullback. And that appears to be maybe what's happening, but hard to say, because there's so much demand there, such limited supply. Who knows? As I say, it's only a brave man that bets against these markets. So we'll just have to see. As I say, for me, I wouldn't, if you're betting against them, just do it with a small amount of money that you're prepared to lose, because you really have to go in with that mindset, because the way crypto can go, and if we continue this amazing bull run, it can wipe you out if you are brave enough to short the market. Obviously, if we were to get a sharp correction, you could make a lot of money, but don't risk more than you can afford to lose. So sorry again, it's had to be recording. Got so much stuff going on with business over here, especially with this bull run going on. So many questions being asked. So much happening in the crypto world, and also even the traditional world. We're seeing these great pumps in assets. So yeah, hope you've been enjoying it. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Bruce. I'm sure you're going to have a great discussion today on all the geopolitical issues going on in the world. Sorry, I'm not here to listen to that, but thanks again for today, and all the best. Catch up tomorrow. Bye for now.
The great Matt Dixon. Of course, he was ready to come on the show at our normal time, but since I didn't do it at the normal time, he says, all right, let me shoot that over. But hey, sometimes he gives us the recorded market watch, and that is totally fine. It is world-class analysis that we get here on the show, and that partnership with Matt Dixon, we formed at the very first show. I asked Matt to be on our very first show, the very first Impact Money show, and we did that. And I also had my friend Joshua Hawley join the show, Josh Hawley, and I just saw him over in Dubai as well. And Josh and I, of course, we do our stuff. We worked at Investment Bank together as well. But Matt messaged me back. He says, Bruce, I think I'd like to do the show all the time. And I said, well, I think that's great. And so we've been doing the show together ever since. It is a little bit easier for him at 3:00 in the afternoon in Dubai than it is possibly for me at 5 a.m. in Texas and 6 a.m. over here on the East Coast in Washington, D.C. Of course, it's easy to do the show at 12 noon East Coast or 11 a.m. if you're watching on your TVs. If you're watching on your TVs, you're watching on the Smart Money Culture TV network. Smart Money Culture TV network. We are putting together, we have the things all together, putting on about 100 more channels in 30 more states. We have a tremendous opportunity for people who, and it might be you, I know a lot of you watching, especially on your TV, but maybe you're watching on streaming as well, but we're in some affluent areas on TV. And if you are one of those people who would like to make a move and be a part of a move in the TV world like nobody has really seen in a while, I want you to go ahead and give us a call or give us a message. Of course, I'll put it up here. Where are my banners? Smart Money. You can go to the website, Money Culture TV, and you can put in a contact form there. Contact us. We are putting together for this move onto these 33 stations with, 30 states with about 100 different stations. There's big opportunity for people to get involved. Now, we don't want your last $100,000 or anything like that, folks. If that's what you're going to gamble with, we don't want that. But if you have an extra $250,000 or 100,000 or something like that, and you want to put it to work, maybe you've missed the Bitcoin pump. Maybe you missed the Bitcoin pump, or maybe you're scared of crypto, or maybe you have profits from there and you want to put them somewhere. This could be a very excellent way for you to do that. And as we build our influence, there's a big move right now. With people turning off their cable service. And yes, a lot of it is because people are on the internet, but people still have their TVs everywhere. And they're still watching TV. They're still watching local TV, their channels and everything else. They're using the internet to stream the different things that they want. They're using, obviously, X and other things. But they also like to turn on their TV and have it play the news and everything else. So there's a big move that we're doing at Smart Money Culture TV. And we want you to be involved. So go over there, smartmoneyculture.tv, go to the contact us. You can either talk to my man Fly Mackey, the man with the plan, or myself, of course, Bruce Porter Jr., the infamous Bruce Porter Jr., and get involved. Now, as well as we have continued the show, of course, Bitcoin now about $101,000, give or take a couple $100. 101 it is flirting around. It could so easily pop up real quick. It could pop down too. It's a lot of money. It's so hard to believe. It is so hard to believe, to be totally honest. It is really, really crazy to watch. But it's a lot of fun. And, doing these types of things it's important. We do this show every day. It's important. We also, with our brand, with GlobalBoost, okay, and with Smart Money, but with GlobalBoost Media, we partner with different conferences around the world. So we'll be in Hong Kong. We will be at Hong Kong in February. Let me pull up that one. We're going to be in Hong Kong for Consensus Hong Kong. Consensus Austin was an amazing event. Really, absolutely. These guys just really hit it out of the park. Consensus Hong Kong was an amazing event, and we really did well. Sold tickets. We did all that stuff. Consensus Hong Kong is going to be massive, okay? And if you are a company and you're trying to do business, if you want money maybe from overseas, or if you're overseas and you're watching us on our streams and you want money and people over here in the US, let's meet in Hong Kong. Okay? Use Bruce15 for a 15% discount on your tickets there. Of course, what we offer, GlobalBoost Media and with the Smart Money Culture TV network, is an amazing insight and inroad into this amazing U.S. market. And that is, of course, what we're going to be talking about while we're over there. And that's how I made a lot of money over the years. I went around the world and offered access to places that people weren't. So keep that in mind. If you're young and you're moving around and you're making a name for yourself, okay, and you're in crypto, you start hopping over, if you're willing to take that flight over there to Asia, take that flight over there to Latin America or Europe or wherever it is, and talk on stage and talk about what you're doing and help people access the markets here in the United States, then that's going to be something else. So that's going to be very important for us over in Consensus Hong Kong. Now, the truth is that Asia has per capita more wallets per person, okay, than the U.S. by far. We're so far behind, but we're going to catch up with now a pro-crypto administration with Trump. So we are going to catch up, but the depth of the market there is in Asia is absolutely amazing. And the money that's available there, absolutely amazing. Okay, it's big stuff. It really is. It's big stuff. So, all right. Well, that is going to be it for me today. It has been an absolute pleasure, like it always is. We will be back on your TV sets tomorrow, 5 a.m. in Texas, 6 a.m. in the East Coast, 3 p.m. in Dubai. I think it's 12 noon. They changed the time. I think it's 12 noon over in London. See you soon.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join GlobalBoost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.